funds we put in for you.
Okay, thanks.
Wonderful. Sorry, Chris, you're the last one. Sorry to keep you so long.
It's okay. No, it's cool. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Sorry it's so late. Life is like that sometimes, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to take my rather long submission as read and just talk to a couple of things. I'm hoping that the CCC is working with Local Government New Zealand around the funding model for infrastructure and stuff like that. So that I think Local Government New Zealand is doing some great stuff. So hopefully you guys are supporting that and trying to change the funding model somewhat. I also think we probably you shouldn't be too shy about rates rises. I'm trying to do them. I mean, it's not that I love paying rates, but I do see that my rates get multiplied up a lot by everybody else in the city. So the things that are provided that I couldn't possibly provide for myself, for example, I value, and I think they become more important in difficult times. So I'd just like to sow that little seed. And I guess a lot can happen in 10 years, as Christchurch well knows, so I'm inclined to try and put some things in place that make us a little more resilient. So I'm talking about climate resilience work at this stage as well. And I think the climate resilience stuff, I'm just going to talk a little bit about that now. Obviously, investors want to know that their investments are going to be well worth doing, and that they've got long-term capacity to stick around. Now, if we're a city that faces some of the biggest risks with respect to climate change in Christchurch, in New Zealand, then actually we do need to be working to mitigate and adapt to climate change in order to be attractive to future investment. So I think that's quite a big issue. I've focused quite a lot on transport. I think that's one of the ways that we can improve the quality of our city and become to do more in terms of mitigating climate change. So I think as an individual, being able to ride a bike around the city makes a really big difference to my finances. And I know that not travelling in a car actually it's way cheaper on a bicycle, even an electric bicycle. It saves me an enormous amount of money. And it seems like the more we can allow people to make that choice, the more they're going to have to spend in the local economy. So I think that's quite an important aspect. And I'd also just like to highlight the need for community facilities in the hard times. So things like libraries, pools, local events, local community centres are all become really important. And we're seeing more and more people coming in to Manuka Cottage, where I work, and into the Hallsville Community Hub, where I also spend a bit of time. So, and that's as a direct result of people kind of looking to connect, but not necessarily having the capacity to spend money going to cafes or going to local events or that cost money. So I think our community centres become really important. Libraries are a place to go that are warm or cool, depending on what season it is. Pools are a place where people can go if they can't get to the beach, or our local rivers are not suitable for swimming in. So all these things mean that our community facilities are really, really important. And I also would just like to plug community groups provide a lot of voluntary time. So funding people who coordinate and lead local events and local activities is well worth doing, because that gets multiplied up quite considerably. Okay, that's it.
I'd just like to back up what you say about volunteers. If we didn't have those in Christchurch or even around the country, we would be in deep strife. So we owe a lot to volunteers. Any questions, please? Andrew.
Thank you. Just picking up what you mentioned about local events. So the question that we've asked in the long-term plan was around funding for major events. But if we cut those funds as proposed, it will actually eat into the funding for the smaller local community events. Mm-hmm. But that hasn't necessarily been made clear. You've just mentioned the importance of the local events. If you were aware of that as an implication of those funding cuts, would that have changed the comments you put in your submission?
feasibly, yes. I think, local events are quite important, and allowing people to connect, and because lots happens when people connect. I mean, I see an enormous amount of swapping and helping everybody helping each other out as a result of some of those things. So, yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Oof.
Sorry. So, yes, Pauline.
Follow up on that one from Andre, Chris, is that if we continue to fund the mega events, the very big ones through Christchurch NZ, that would, because we haven't built that into the budget at the moment, that would add 0.42% to the rate increase in year one. Would you be supportive of that?
For the mega, to support mega events.
And the rate increase to fund it?
Maybe. Some of those mega events are quite, they're well known and people look forward to them. So, Sparks in the Park and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the big ones.
But I'm also often, mega events can be a bit over the top and put a lot of strain on things locally as well. So I don't know. I go back to the local events. I go back to the local events every time, actually. If I had to choose between them.
Sorry, just to clarify, Councillor Cotter, what we are proposing now will reduce funding for those local events. So what we're proposing in the long-term plan, regardless of whether we're adding things, what it proposes is cuts to those local events. So the question was around whether that would change the...
Just to clarify, Sparks in the Park would be classed as a community kind of local event.
Oh, okay.
Mega events are
Oh,
like
okay.
Sale GP that are going to go out to the world,
yeah.
that type of, and really big. And to be quite honest, in the true sense of the word, I don't really think we've actually seen a mega event.
Yeah.
So, but you're
Okay,
absolutely right.
all right.
The strain, like if you look at the history with regards to Olympics and Commonwealth, whoever holds those are pretty well bankrupt afterwards. So, yeah. So anyway, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for coming in. Sorry to keep you so late, and thank you everyone else for your attendance.
Hanging in there.
We're back at it at 9:30 in the morning.